started, well, of course, during the summer, there was always Duck's Nest, the old swimming hole, and you did have to walk through a little bit of woods to get to that. But there were all paths through there from all the different streets. And, we all learned how to swim there, and it was really our recreation. That was our summer vacation, even though it wasn't really a vacation, but, went swimming whenever we could. Or else you could go the long way around down to Middlesex Avenue and in through the road, but nobody would do that. That was unheard of. Over the railroad tracks. It was just a big old swimming hole. Which had a raft and a diving board, and when we got old enough to go off that high diving board, we jumped, we didn't dive. But we had fun, and a lot of springs around there, the spring water coming up. It was always a fresh water, clean, not what it's become now, unfortunately. I guess when they cleaned it up, they covered the springs up, and it lost all its appeal. You couldn't go until you were old enough to go alone, but yeah, you went down and you spent the day at our own private beach. It was supposed to be open to borough residents only. I don't remember. They had lifeguards and things. I can't remember all of it because Hercules had a pool too. If you were worked at Hercules and were fortunate, enough, they had their own swimming hole. They called it a pool. I had an uncle who worked at Hercules, so I was fortunate enough I could use some. I used to use one of his passes, and I used to go with a group there too. And they had lifeguards. I mean, it was supervised, so that it was a nice way to grow up. Elementary, okay. Roosevelt School, which isn't there anymore. We always felt like we were better than everybody else in town. I don't know why. I think because a lot of the managers and higher-ups in DuPont and Hercules had their children there, so there were they were considered a little better class. So we sort of felt we were better than everybody else, even though we weren't part of that. But it was nice school. We always, as I said, my mother went to that school, and all my aunts and uncles, and we all grew up remembering. I remember additions being put onto the school, because one year we had to, they bused us to Wilson School for part of the year while they were putting an addition on until it was finished. And then we went back. Our classrooms were in the cafeteria at Wilson, so I've spent a lot of time at Wilson. And then we only went up to 7th grade in elementary. Then you went to Wilson for 8th, which was part of the high school at that time. We had 2 classrooms. And so I actually spent 5 years in that school, because then we went right on into high school there. Where's the elementary? I'm trying to think of. Still remember my teachers. So it must have had a lasting impression. We always enjoyed, it was a nice community. You knew everybody. You got some students from other sections, from Morgan, and then we had them from even Cliffwood when we were going to high school. So you did get a little more. Well, they didn't have their high school in Oldridge then, and I think Morgan, Cliffwood, Lawrence Harbor and Cliffwood both came to the high school. So we had to. It was a little different. They were called the Harbor Rats. which wasn't very nice. And I'm sure they called us the clay diggers or something. You know, our own little nicknames for one another. Go down to the local ice cream parlor. Well, for us, it was, we used to go to Armstrong's, the Subway, down on Washington Road, across from Micklo's Floral Shop, in there. We'd meet there, or later on another one opened, I don't even remember the name of it. But you'd wait there until the bus came, you know, and even after dances, the dances, we used to have the canteens here in the Washington School, which is now the senior center. Friday nights was the canteen, and everybody went and just danced, you know, we had an evening. Of course, that was a problem for us because, again, we couldn't walk home all the way up Pulaski Avenue because it was woods. We had to get a ride, and in order to get a bus from here, would have been 2 buses. We would have had to have really skirted around the whole town. So I guess one of the parents used to pick us up. Somebody would always take us. That was our Friday night. And of course all the football games and basketball games, and everybody was closer in those days. And there weren't as many sports and things as there are nowadays. I mean, you know, it was strictly football, basketball. I don't even know, I suppose they had some baseball, but I don't even remember that. Pep rallies and bonfires, and you know, they got a big pile of wood all together and got around and cheering the team on. The night before, they had this big bonfire down off MacArthur Avenue, behind the Borough Hall, in that area. That was the old football field, and they would have this whole pile of wood. I mean, really a big pile of wood, and take it off, and all the cheering and singing, and it was like a pep rally.